next topic is female reproductive system. Students, in the last lecture, in the last topic, we have studied about all the parts of male reproductive system, functions and the secretions of all the parts. Today we are going to study about the female reproductive system. So it consists of primary sex organ and accessory sex organs. Right? The primary sex organ consists of a pair of ovaries. Right? Why those are considered as primary sex organs? Because they are involved in formation of female gamete, that is egg, and production of female sex hormones, right? And the main female sex hormones are estrogen and progesterone, right? So in case of females, the primary sex organ is a pair of ovaries. This pair of ovaries are very tiny almond shaped structures which are present in the lower part of the abdomen in the pelvic region. Why is it considered as primary female sex organ? Just as testes are the primary male sex organs, because it is involved in the formation of sperms and production of testosterone hormone. Similarly, ovaries, the main function is production of female gamete, that is egg, and production of female sex hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. Accessory sex organs include ducts, and glands. Which are the ducts which are involved? Then fallopian tube, also called as oviduct, even uterus and vagina. Right? Glands involve mammary glands, and bulbo-vestibular gland. Right? Apart from it, the external genitalia in case of females is vulva. It is called as vulva. One more thing can be included in ducts, that is cervix. Actually, cervix is a part of uterus only. Yes, students. So primary sex organ is a pair of ovaries. There are accessory organs which include ducts and glands. Ducts are fallopian tube, also called as oviduct. Even uterus is considered as a part of duct. Cervix is a part of uterus, and vagina. The cervix and vagina are together called as birth canal, right? Then glands include mammary glands, a pair, and a pair of bulbo-vestibular glands. External genitalia in case of males is penis, whereas in case of females the external genitalia is vulva, right? So now we are going to study, right, the overview of all the parts of female reproductive system, and then we will study its detailed structure, right? So first, the primary sex organs. The primary sex organs are a pair of ovaries, right? So a pair of ovaries are present, right, in the lower part of the abdomen called as pelvic region, right? So ovaries are almond shaped right, in pair present in the lower abdomen, that is pelvic region, right, and the length is about 2 to 3 centimeters again, right. Now these ovaries are present in the lower part of the abdomen in the pelvic region, but they are attached to the body wall, right. So students, any females, right, or any person who are moving, their organs will also move if those organs are not firmly attached with the body wall, right. So this pair of ovaries are firmly attached with the body wall by the folds of mucous membrane. That folds of mucous membrane is called as mesovarium, right. So what is mesovarium? Mesovarium is the fold of mucous membrane which makes the ovary attached with the body wall. So it attaches the ovary with body wall. This is clear, right? So pair of ovaries are present. Then the next structure is fallopian tube, also called as oviduct, right? This fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeters long, right? Fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeters long and it is a tube-like structure. The function of this fallopian tube is to pass the female gamete and to provide entry to the male gamete, right? This fallopian tube consists of infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus, right? So the first initial broad part of the fallopian tube is called as infundibulum, right? So this broad part of the fallopian tube, this broader part is called as infundibulum, right? So this part is infundibulum, right? Then the next part is ampulla, right? And then comes the region which is called as isthmus, right? So then comes a narrow tube-like structure. This structure is called as isthmus. This is clear, right? So these are the parts of the fallopian tube, right? So students, you would wonder that the ovum is released by the ovary, right? So the ovum which is released by the ovary will come down because it is not in contact with the fallopian tube or oviduct. The function of oviduct is to carry the female gametes. Then how is it taking the female gametes? Then this infundibulum part, which is a funnel-like part, possesses finger-like projections. This finger-like projections are called as fimbriae, right? So this finger-like projections are called as fimbriae. So what is the function of this fimbriae? To collect the ovum which is released from the ovary. Say this is the ovum which is released from the ovary. This ovum will be taken by the finger-like movements of the fimbriae. And where are these fimbriae present? At the terminal portion of the funnel-shaped part of the fallopian tube, that is infundibulum. So fallopian tube, it is 10 to 12 centimeters long. It is divided into three parts, that is infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Infundibulum is a wide funnel-shaped part. It is the initial part of fallopian tube which is collecting the ovum through the finger-like projections called as fimbriae. Then comes ampulla and then comes isthmus, right? This fallopian tube opens into one more duct or canal which is uterus, right? So this opens into the uterus, right? So this is uterus. Right? So this part is uterus. Uterus is also called as womb, which is going to conceive the fetus at the time of pregnancy. And this uterus is inverted pear shaped, right? So the shape of uterus is like an inverted pear, right? So the fallopian tube opens into uterus, right? This uterus is divided into three parts, right? Those parts are fundus, second is body of uterus, third is the cervix of the uterus, right? So this part of the uterus is the fundic part or fundus of the uterus. This part is the body of uterus, and this narrow part is the cervix of uterus. So it is divided into three parts: fundus, body and cervix. This much is clear. Uterus is also called as womb. It is conceiving the fetus at the time of pregnancy, right? Now this uterus is also divided into three layers, right? From outside, those three layers are, right? So the outermost layer, let me remove this. The outermost layer is called as perimetrium. Then inner to it is a thick layer of smooth muscle fibers, right? So this is a thick layer of smooth muscle fibers. This thick layer of smooth muscle fibers is called as myometrium. Because it is made up of muscles, it is called as myometrium. And inner to it is a highly folded layer, right? So this is a highly folded layer. This layer is called as endometrium. So the innermost layer is endometrium, right? So these are the three layers of uterus. Perimetrium is the outermost layer. Myometrium is the middle layer. It is a thick layer made up of smooth muscle fibers. And the innermost layer is highly convoluted, highly folded, and it is called as endometrium. Then comes cervix, and the last part is the vagina, right? So this is the vagina. This vagina opens to the outside by the opening. This opening is called as vaginal opening, right? And this vaginal opening is covered by a thin membrane. That membrane is called as hymen, right? Hymen is a membrane covering vaginal opening, right? It is present only in the virgin females, right? It is present only in virgin females. That is hilum. This part is vagina. And this cervix and vagina are together called as birth canal, right? So those are together called as birth canal, because the fetus is going to develop into uterus, right? So uterus is the site of implantation. What is the meaning of implantation, students? So implantation is a site, is a region where the fetus is going to be sticked, implanted inside, right? Where it is going to grow. So where the fetus is growing, where is it attached with which part of female reproductive system? That is uterus. So uterus is the site of implantation. Then there is site of fertilization, right? Site of fertilization. Ampullary isthmic junction, right? Ampullary isthmic junction of the fallopian tube, right? So this is ampulla, this is isthmus. The junction of between ampulla and isthmus, but within ampulla is the site of fertilization. What is fertilization? Fusion of male gamete and female gamete. So that fusion of male gamete and female gamete occurs in the ampulla at ampullary isthmic junction, and implantation of the fetus occurs in uterus, that is womb. Uterus consists of three parts: fundus, body and cervix. Cervix and vagina are together called as birth canal. It is this vagina where the penis, that is copulatory organ, is inseminated and sperms are deposited, and it is this vagina through which the developing fetus is expelled out. The entire matured developed fetus is going to expel from the vagina, and it is the area where there is deposition of the sperms through the penis, right students? This cervix is also divided into two openings. One is outer side and one is inner side. This is external os, that is opening of cervix, and this is internal os. So we are quickly revising all the parts of female reproductive system. The primary sex organ is ovary. Ovary is a very small, tiny, almond-shaped structure present in the lower part of the abdomen in the pelvic region. One more thing, this ovary is also connected with the uterus by the ligament. That ligament is called as ovarian ligament. What is ovarian ligament? Ovarian ligament is the connection of the ovary with the wall of uterus, right? So primary sex organ is ovary. Then comes fallopian tube. It is a duct 10 to 12 centimeters in length. It consists of three parts, that is a funnel shaped, broad funnel shaped structure, that is infundibulum. The tip of infundibulum possesses finger-like projections called as fimbriae. What is the function of this fimbriae? This fimbriae will perform movements, and it is going to grasp the ovum which is released from the ovary. Otherwise the ovum will be released downside, but because of this vacuum-like pressure created by fimbriae, it is going to collect the ovum from the ovary. Then comes again a wide part of fallopian tube, that is ampulla, and then a narrow part of the fallopian tube, that is isthmus. This isthmus opens into an inverted pear-shaped muscular organ which is called as uterus. This uterus consists of three parts, that is fundus, body and cervix. Uterus is the site of implantation. Uterus is made up of, the wall of uterus is made up of three layers. That is, outermost layer is perimetrium, the middle muscular layer is myometrium, and the inner highly folded layer is endometrium. Site of fertilization is ampullary isthmic junction. So fertilization, that is fusion of male and female gametes, occurs at the place of ampulla. But where, which part of ampulla? At the junction of ampulla and isthmus. Cervix has two openings, The outer part, outer opening towards vagina is called as external os, and the opening towards uterus is called as internal os. Vagina, again, it is rough. Internally, it is a rough structure. It is a site where there is chance of maximum infection. And vagina is made up of stratified squamous epithelium because the tissue is having maximum wear and tear. Cervix and vagina together is called as birth canal, right? So birth canal is cervix and vagina because the fully formed matured fetus is coming out, is getting expelled through vagina. Vagina is also the site for the deposition of sperms. The opening of the vagina is called as vaginal opening. It is covered by a thin membrane called as hymen. But this hymen is present only in case of virgin females. In case of married females or the females who have undergone the sexual intercourse, this hymen is getting broken down. The ovary is kept in place by many ligaments. Those are mesovarium, which attaches the ovary with the body wall, and ovarian ligament, which attaches the body with the wall of the uterus. Yes, students. So now we are going to study about the detailed structure of ovary in our next lecture. Parts of female reproductive system. Right. Today we are going to study about the accessory glands, right, external genitalia of the female reproductive system, and internal structure of ovary. Right. So first we will study about the internal structure of ovary. As I have told you, ovaries are present in the lower part of the abdomen in the pelvic region, and they are very small almond shaped structures, right? So let's enlarge one ovary. This ovary is attached with the wall of the body by different ligaments, right? And it is also attached with the uterus by the ovarian ligament, right? Now this ovary is divided into two parts, right? The outer part of the ovary is called as cortex of the ovary, right? So this is the outer part. This outer part is called as cortex of the ovary, and this cortex is made up of reticular connective tissue, right? So it is made up of reticular connective tissue. If you remember, students, we have discussed it when we were studying the animal tissues of 11th standard, right? We had studied that there is a kind of connective tissue, that is reticular connective tissue, which is present in spleen, which is present in lymphoid organs, and they possess specialized reticular cells. Ovary, the cortex part of the ovary is also made up of reticular connective tissue, and the inner part, right, of the ovary, inner zone of the ovary is called as medulla of the ovary. And this medulla is made up of areolar connective tissue. You know what is areolar connective tissue also made up of? It is made up of different types of cells such as fibroblast, macrophages, mast cells are present. There is matrix which is made up of hyaluronic acid. So all of these things are present. Within this matrix are present many primary follicles. Students, when you will study about the process of oogenesis, that is formation of egg, at that time you will study it in detail, that what is primordial follicle, what is primary follicle, what is follicular atresia, what is degeneration of follicles, how many follicles are present at the time of birth, how many follicles are present at the time of puberty. All those things you will study when you will study the oogenesis topic. Right now, what we are saying is what we can see in the internal structure of the ovary during the entire course of the menstrual cycle, right? So first, what we'll be able to see, right? Let me now remove this, right? So we will be able to see a follicle. That follicle, right? Many such follicles are present. This follicle is called as primary follicles. Let me draw many such primary follicles. All are primary follicles. Out of all these primary follicles, only one primary follicle is going to enlarge during one menstrual cycle. The rest of the follicles are going to get degenerated. That is called as follicular atresia, right? So say this follicle is enlarging, right? So this primary follicle gives rise to one more follicle. That follicle is called as, say, secondary follicle, right? So this is secondary follicle, right? Again, this secondary follicle enlarges to give rise to tertiary follicle, right? So it enlarges to give rise to tertiary follicle. So there will be development of layers of cells. So say this is tertiary follicle, right? Finally, a mature follicle is formed. That mature follicle is called as Graafian follicle, and that Graafian follicle will have cavity present within it, right? So let me draw its diagram, right? So this is the egg, these are the cells surrounding it, then there is a cavity, and then there is again the layers of cells surrounding it, and there are again the mass of connecting cells, right? So this structure is a mature Graafian follicle. Right? This Graafian follicle possesses the oocyte. This red dot is secondary oocyte. Right? So these are the changes which occurs in the internal structure of the ovary during the course of the menstrual cycle. Right? Now, when you are studying endocrine system, you are studying that there is release of estrogen hormone under the influence of some hormone. There is release of progesterone hormone, right? So the granulosa cells of these follicles are going to release estrogen hormone as and when the follicle is enlarging, right? Then on the 14th day, there occurs ovulation. So if the menstrual cycle is an ideal cycle of 28 days, on 14th day ovulation happens. So what is this ovulation? Ovulation is nothing but rupture of this mature Graafian follicle, and what is released from it? Secondary oocyte is released. But as such we say that ovulation is the release of egg. Actually what is released? Secondary oocyte is released. It is a structure which is formed after one meiotic division. There is one more meiotic division which is left, right? So now occurs ovulation. So because of ovulation there is rupture of the Graphian follicle, right? This cavity is called as antrum. We will study the detailed structure of Graphian follicle, right? When we will study oogenesis, right? So this is the ruptured Graphian follicle, and what is released is the egg, right? So this egg, and this egg will be surrounded by the layers, that is zona pellucida and corona radiata will be released, right? So this is called as ovulation, that is rupture of Graphian follicle, right? And release of secondary oocyte, right? This is actually secondary oocyte. So that is ovulation, right? Now the leftover structure, the Graphian follicle which is left when the secondary oocyte is released, the leftover structure is bleeding, right? So there is rupture of blood vessels and there is release of blood, right? So that structure is called as corpus hemorrhagicum, right? So this structure after ovulation, Graphian follicle first gets converted into corpus hemorrhagicum, then it gets converted into the another structure, right? That structure is called as corpus luteum. This corpus luteum, students, is a temporary endocrine gland right? It is acting as a temporary endocrine gland, and under the influence of luteinizing hormone, you have studied it in your endocrine system, under the influence of luteinizing hormone which is released by pituitary gland, this corpus luteum releases which hormone? It releases progesterone hormone. This progesterone hormone is a pregnancy supporting hormone. Right? So, if there is fertilization, if there is fusion of male and female gamete, and if pregnancy is supported, this corpus luteum, it is a yellowish structure because it possesses lutein which gives yellowish color to it, right? This corpus luteum will persist throughout the entire period of pregnancy. But if fertilization does not happen, then this corpus luteum will again degenerate, right? So it will again degenerate to form corpus albicans. So this is degenerating corpus albicans. So when will corpus albicans seen? If there is no fertilization and if pregnancy is not supported. If there is fertilization, if there is pregnancy, then this corpus luteum which is a temporary endocrine gland is going to persist and it is going to release progesterone hormone. But if there is no pregnancy, then it degenerates and there is really that degenerating structure is called as corpus albicans. So the progesterone level will also decrease and then there will be the next menstrual cycle. So students, this is the internal structure of ovary, which means that throughout the 28 days of ideal menstrual cycle, which are the different parts you can see, right? Initially, during the first 5 days of menstrual cycle, you will see many primary follicles. Out of these primary follicles, only one follicle is going to enlarge. The rest of the follicles are going to degenerate, right? So then there will be formation of secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and finally a matured Graphian follicle is form. This matured Graafian follicle will have a cavity present inside it. That is called as antrum. We will study its structure later on, right? So this is matured Graafian follicle, and it will possess secondary oocyte, right? This Graafian follicle will rupture ideally at the 14th day of menstrual cycle, which is called as ovulation. So this is rupturing Graafian follicle, and when it is rupturing, what is released? The secondary oocyte is released, and that phenomenon is called as ovulation. Actually, we say ovulation is nothing but release of egg. Actually, it is secondary oocyte, right? Then the left part of Graafian follicle is, there is breakage of blood vessels. So that is called as corpus hemorrhagicum. Then it is getting converted into corpus luteum, right? So this we are talking after 14 days of menstrual cycle. Now, if there is fertilization and if the pregnancy passes, then this corpus luteum is a temporary endocrine gland which keeps on releasing progesterone hormone, which is a pregnancy supporting hormone. It is going to thicken the endometrial wall, right? But if pregnancy is not there, then it starts degenerating, which is called as corpus albicans. So there are 3 stages, students, right? The first stage is corpus hemorrhagicum, second is corpus luteum, and the third is corpus albicans, right? Now students, we have to study about the external genitalia in the female as well as the glands which are present in female. As areola, right? And there is a projection, that projection is called as nipple, right? Behind there will be rib bones, right? So there will be bones, that is ribs, right? And there will be muscles, right? Those muscles are pectoralis major muscle, right? So there will be pectoralis major muscle, right? Now what is actually present in the mammary glands? So it consists of 20 to 25 mammary lobes. This mammary lobes will possess alveoli, right? Those are sac-like structure. They will produce milk. Their function is production of milk. From all these alveoli will arise mammary tubules, right? This mammary tubules will join. So of each mammary lobe, it will join to form mammary duct, right? This mammary duct, when it comes towards the areolar part, it is dilating. That is called as ampulla. And finally, right, the milk is, the ampulla is the storing part, right? Ampulla is the part where there is storage of milk, and alveoli is the part where there is production of the milk, right? Then is the lactiferous ducts, right? So this ampullas will open outside through the ducts which are called as lactiferous ducts, and finally it opens outside through the opening, right? So this is the sequence, students, right? There are 20 to 25 mammary lobes. So say these are mammary lobes, 20 to 25 mammary lobes are present, right? And these mammary lobes will possess many sac-like cells which are called as alveoli. So it will possess alveoli. This alveoli sacs, from that minor tubules will arise. Those are called as mammary tubules. All the mammary tubules from all the alveoli will combine to form the ducts. So these are the mammary ducts, right? These mammary ducts are again enlarging, right? So these are the enlargement of the mammary ducts. Those are called as ampulla, right? And finally, they open outside through the ducts. Those ducts are called as lactiferous ducts, and they open outside through the opening. This is clear? So these are mammary lobes. These are mammary ducts. This is ampulla. Ampulla is a part where milk is stored, and alveoli are the sac. Those are the cells lined by cells which are going to produce synthesized milk, right? Then this is the lactiferous duct, and finally these ducts are opening outside through the nipple. So nipple will possess many openings. Yes, students. So this is about the structure of mammary glands. Mammary glands are a pair of mammary glands are present in females, right? They properly develop at the time of puberty, and under the influence of different hormones, the milk is synthesized and released from the mammary glands. Which are those hormones which are influencing it? So the hormones are prolactin hormone, and second is oxytocin hormone. You have studied about these hormones. This prolactin hormone is released by the anterior lobe of pituitary gland, right? And this is released by the posterior lobe of pituitary gland, right? Prolactin is a milk forming hormone, and oxytocin is a milk ejecting hormone, right? So this is a milk forming hormone, and this is a milk ejecting hormone. Oxytocin hormone is going to stimulate the myoepithelial cells which are present in this lactiferous ducts and ampulla to contract, and there will be ejection of milk. That is done by oxytocin hormone. But what is the function of prolactin hormone? Prolactin hormone is going to stimulate the alveoli cells of this mammary lobes to synthesize and to produce milk. So production and release of the milk by the mammary glands after parturition is under the influence of these two hormones. Those two hormones are prolactin hormone and oxytocin hormone. Yes, students. Now we are going to study about the external genitalia present in females. One more thing, students, there will be cushion, right? So there will be cushion present, and this cushion is made up of nothing but fat, right? And it is a protective cushion which is protecting all the mammary lobes. Yes, one more topic in this part of female reproductive system is external genitalia. This external genitalia in case of male is a copulatory organ, that is penis, whereas in case of females the external genitalia is called as vulva, right? So it is called as vulva. We will study the parts of it very quickly. right? So what are the parts? So there is first a depression, right? That depression is called as vestibule, right? So vestibule is a depression. This vestibule will possess two openings. The upper opening is the urethral meatus. It is urethral meatus, and the lower opening is the vaginal opening. This much is clear. So there is a depression. The depression is called as vestibule, right? The upper opening is urethral opening, urethral meatus, from where urine is released, and the lower opening is the vaginal opening, right? That is, the vaginal canal will open through an opening. It is vaginal opening, and it is covered by the membrane, that is hymen, right? We have studied that this hymen is present in virgins. Students, hymen is a thin membrane, right? It can be anytime broken down if the female is undergoing any extremely strenuous physical exercise, or while insertion of the tampon, or while performing any strenuous work. So actually hymen is not the sign of virginity. Even after sexual intercourse, the hymen may persist in some of the females, but hymen is a membrane which is covering the vagina, right? On the two sides, right, of the vaginal opening are a pair of glands and the openings of these glands. These glands are called as Bartholin gland, or in case of females it is called as bulbovestibular gland, Bartholin's gland or bulbovestibular gland. So this all the things are present in the depression, right? Now it is covered by the fold of the mucous membrane, that fold of the mucous membrane, right? Inner fold of the mucous membrane. Its upper part is having the loose skin, and there is a finger-like projection, right? So there is a finger-like projection, right? So this fold is called as labia minora. The loose skin is called as prepuce, and this finger-like projection is called as clitoris. Clitoris is the erectile organ in case of females. So this clitoris is homologous in females, is homologous to penis in males. So it is an erectile organ and it is homologous to penis in case of males, right? And again it is surrounded by one more fold of the mucous membrane, right? This fold is called as labia majora, right? And over here there will be fatty cushion, right? That fatty cushion is called as mons pubis. Clear, students? So this is the structure of vulva. Clitoris in case of females is homologous to penis. Bulbovestibular gland in case of females is homologous to bulbourethral gland in case of males, and labia minora is homologous to scrotum of males, right? So these are the questions which can be asked. Clitoris is a finger-like projection. It possesses erectile tissue and it is homologous to penis of male. Bulbovestibular glands right, which are present near the vaginal opening are homologous to bulbourethral gland. These glands are also called as Bartholin's gland, right? So bulbovestibular gland also called as Bartholin's gland, and labia minora is homologous to scrotum of the males. So this is about external genitalia. The depression called as vestibule. Two openings, the upper one is urethral meatus, lower one is vaginal opening. Those are surrounded by bulbovestibular glands. Those are covered by the two thin folds of the mucous membrane, which are called as labia minora. The upper skin of labia minora is loose, which is called as loose skin or prepuce, and there is a finger-like projection, which is erectile organ, that is clitoris. Again, it is surrounded by one more two folds of the mucous membrane, which are labia majora, right? And there is mons pubis, right? So we have studied about all the parts of the female reproductive system, all the accessory glands of the female reproductive system, the external genitalia of the female reproductive system, and the internal structure of ovary, right? So we will now start with the process of gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis and oogenesis.